Excellent. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Perspective Matters this week in behavioral healthcare. My name is Glenn Hadley. I'll be your host today, and I just want to welcome you guys all to the show and thank y'all for joining us. What we do here on this show is we go over different topics that are relevant to behavioral healthcare, whether it's the business side of behavioral healthcare, the clinical side of behavioral healthcare, or even getting into some of the bigger policy issues. And so just really excited to have you guys join us today. I do need to thank our sponsors today, Southworth Associates and Dreamscape Marketing. We are here broadcasting to you guys because of them. And so we're really grateful for the opportunity. I've got Dave here from Dreamscape. He's kind of the man behind the scenes and make sure that the whole thing doesn't crash on us. And so we're really glad to have him here. And so just want to really take this opportunity to thank Southworth Associates and Dreamscape Marketing. If you guys get a chance, please go to their websites and check them out and thank them for hosting the show with us. So enough of that being said, we're going to get into today's topic, and I want to introduce a really good friend of mine and a man that's really vital here in this industry and is doing good work out there. I want to introduce you guys to Jordan Young, the CEO of Jordan and Associates. So welcome to the show, Jordan. How are you?
Thank you, Glenn. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. What about yourself?
Man, I'm doing awesome. Just kind of loving what we get to do and trying to be a service while we're doing it. So do me a favor, Jordan, tell everybody kind of what you do. What does Jordan and Associates do? And what do you do there?
So Jordan Associates Consulting, it's a consulting company I opened close to 2 years ago, August of 2018. And what we do is we work with treatment centers and companies that service treatment centers in a wide array of business functions. So coaching on admissions, business development, branding strategy, but where I spend the vast majority of my time these days is in recruiting for treatment centers and companies that service treatment centers, which is something that I never anticipated I would do when I started out on my own a year and a half ago, but the market dictated the services that I needed to focus on, that we needed to focus on. And, I'm up to my eyeballs in recruiting these days. And, it's very much a blessing to be able to, help a company and help individuals, with employment, with filling jobs and finding careers. So
right on. How did you get into it?
How did I get into it? So do you want to go into my background for those that don't know me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I've worked in behavioral health care for 10 years. I started at Foundations Recovery Network. I was the lead for the outbound referral and outbound intervention department. I did that for 2.5 years, worked with hundreds of treatment centers and referred over 4,000 clients to other facilities when we weren't the most appropriate fit for them. From there, I was promoted to take over the events, a position that you're very familiar with yourself, but I ran the events department, the education and sales. I wasn't the meeting planner. I didn't put together all the details that made it look pretty, but what I did was design the themes and got the people there, the sponsors, the attendees, worked on the education stuff. So I did that for 5.5 years. So through both of those positions, I was lucky enough to be able to work with literally thousands and thousands of people in the industry. So when I left to go out on my own and start the consulting company, I felt that what I bring to the table that's probably more valuable than any specific skill set that I have is all of these connections, all these people who I know, who I've worked very closely with, who know me and trust me, who I can vouch for. Someone needs, they need someone to do their Joint Commission accreditation, their in-network contracting, their monitoring, their alumni department, they're to build a call center for them, things that companies really need, they desperately need, but I don't have an expertise in, but I know people who are experts and I trust them and they trust me, and I can play matchmaker that way. So that was the original idea for the company. And, I still do a bit of that when needed, but what got pushed onto my plate was recruiting, because people call me all the time looking to hire people or looking for jobs. And they thought, oh, people think that, oh, well, Jordan's in touch with everyone, so maybe he can help me find a job, or maybe he can help me fill some positions.
Right.
So,
You still got that thing of, call Jordan, right? Like everybody knows, like no matter what's going on, call Jordan. And
yeah, that was my tagline for a long time. Actually,
that worked out really well, right?
yeah. I actually almost named the company Call Jordan Consulting until a couple of people said, yeah, that doesn't really sound like an adult company name. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, it got pushed onto my plate that, I actually help treatment centers and companies that service treatment centers fill their employment needs. So right now we're working with, sorry, I'm looking over here at my whiteboard. We're working with 6 or 7 treatment centers to help them with, it's primarily business development jobs, but we have, we fill some C-suites, clinical director, SEO specialist type, but admissions roles.
Right now, with what's going on and how the whole field is changing and evolving due to the COVID-19 outbreak, what are some of the trends that you're seeing? I mean, is the on the employment front? I know that we've had a number of colleagues and professionals that we've worked with and interacted with that are either getting furloughed or that are even being laid off due to this. And then on the other hand, like I through talking with you, that a lot of people are hiring. So like, what are you seeing out there? What are some of the trends you're seeing?
Well, so with the customers that we work with, probably 2/3 are continuing with their hiring practices as they planned, in January and February. Some have halted operations, halted their hiring operations, but the majority are continuing on. Now, where the clients that we work with, where they've seen success is with business development regionally, because residential programs, a lot of the residential programs that I'm speaking with, they're doing as well or even better than they were before this whole pandemic hit. And what they're doing is they're focusing their efforts regionally, because those objections that people have for going into treatment with work, or I can't be apart from family. Well, a lot of people, because they're just trapped inside of the house, the compound with family, like, oh God, I've got to get out, or families are seeing this is a lot worse than I originally suspected. They're not able to hide it as much. So a lot of residential programs are doing really well right now. And for business development reps, if they have referral sources that are regional, where patients can drive to their facilities, they've produced well.
Right on. Yeah. I noticed the same thing, that people are, taking this opportunity to get help through this time, and all the objections are gone. But yeah, the more localized, I think we were seeing that in the field as a whole. We were seeing that move anyway, and this has really kind of prompted it to or accelerated it. The people are going to treatment closer to where they live, and staying in that community. So, on that note, what areas of the country are doing well in hiring, and then what areas in our field as far as roles are doing well in hiring right now?
I mean, looking at my whiteboard again, I see we have positions in the Northwest, on the West Coast, so Northwest, Washington State, Oregon, West Coast, Southern California, the Northeast. There's a lot of people that are looking to hire in the Northeast. Lots of people have been looking to hire in the Northeast. From my perspective, it's been pretty spread out, honestly. I think that we have people looking to hire in just about all areas of the country. You know, I mean, and then even there, if there's not a specific location that a company is hiring for, there are national positions as well where it doesn't matter where someone is located. So, you know, I mean, I think probably the hot spots are the places that people look to hire at. You know, we're looking at before anyway: Southern California, the Northwest, Northeast.
Okay. And then what about roles and positions? Like what positions are doing well? Because I know that I've had a number of people reach out, especially in business development. And that's been a hot market. What are some other markets besides BD roles?
BD roles are about 60% of what we focus on, but you know, you are seeing some C-suite stuff, some, you know, CMO, some clinical director roles. I think that
It's still expanding right now. They're still building and opening
yeah,
programs.
there's facilities
Yeah.
there's facilities that we're working with that are, you know, that have plans to open next month, you know, and grow multiple facilities this year. You know, so there's still people that are in expansion mode. What I think we're going to see though is with a lot of people that have been furloughed and a lot of companies, you know, we talked about that many facilities are doing well, right? Not all of them, you know, and we've seen companies that have had to furlough, that have had to shut down. So what I think we're going to be seeing is we're going to see, you know, as evident by our economy, we have unemployment at a much higher rate than it was prior to this. You know, we had this amazing, you know, economy nationally, but also in our industry. And I feel like what we're going to see is that there's going to be a lot of candidates. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for treatment centers to hire top talent. You know, because there will be candidates who normally would not have been available that will be available, you know, in the next month or two.
Right.
So I think this. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, in this market, if let's say that, and I may have some experience with this, if you're one of those top candidates that that was either furloughed or let go because of circumstances, like what would be the first steps for that candidate? What should they do to like, what should they do and where should they look?
What was that tagline you used before? Call Jordan? No, but seriously, I do feel like, you know, and maybe not just myself, that there are other good people, people that do good work with recruiting. I feel like that's a great start. You know, I have some people that have blasted out, I got laid off, you know, anyone that, you know, on Facebook or on LinkedIn. And, you know, I've gotten people referred to me that way. So, you know, so that's, you know, I think that's an okay idea, you know, but reaching out to people within your network, you know, let people know, hey, I got laid off. I'm looking for a job. What do you know? You know, what do you know that's available? Because
we had a similar instance in the and just for the viewers out there that don't know, I come from a professional tennis background and coaching background, and so we had a period of time where our industry wasn't really doing well, and we had a number of tennis pros kind of jumping ship and going to different industries, and vice versa. There were some times where our industry was doing extremely well, and we had people coming in from other industries, ours. And so, on that note, do you think that this is a good time to explore industry if you haven't been in it before, and if so, like what skills translate into this field?
it depends, honestly. You know, I think that what we're seeing is most treatment centers are wanting people to come in with experience in this field. You know, now sales skills translate across various different industries, right? You know, if you were a hunter for a staffing company or a uniform company or a pharmaceuticals company, you're going to be a hunter for behavioral healthcare, you know, and that's the mindset that you want for business development. But a lot of people aren't able to afford the ramp up period that people need to learn the industry lingo or to make connections, so they start getting some folks in the door. And some people can afford a decent ramp up time. Some people, though, some facilities are just unrealistic. I mean, I've had to fire clients before because they said, well, someone has to come in producing 10 admissions in month one or they're out the door. I was like, well, that's unrealistic. I'm not going to set someone up for failure like that, because you have to educate your referral sources. Even if you've been in the field for a long time, you have to educate your referral sources on where you work and what they do and who your ideal client is. So going back to your question, though, I think that certain sales backgrounds will translate well to behavioral health care, but with the job market being the way that it is right now, we're not expanding. We're not bringing a lot of people from outside in, from the experience that I have, the clients that I'm working with right now.
See, and that's good information to have out there that are maybe watching that would like to break in. It's good for them to know that, like, a business development role may not be a good time for that. I've also witnessed a similar thing where people would be brought in and with very high expectations, and some of them do a great job jumping in, but still we lose that balance that I think we need to strike in business development of not only the numbers game, but also remembering that we're working with people, and it's not just like, we're not just out there trying to increase the bottom line. We're really out there trying to help people too. And I find that people that jump in and are put in under a lot of pressure, they forget that, and it starts to be strictly a numbers game. But the ones that I know that are out there that do it and do it well, they have a great balance between that, right? They know that it's the numbers game. You got to keep the doors open in order to help people, but they don't forget that they're always working with people too. So I think that's an extremely important point. So what else? Something else I'd like to kind of talk about there, before we get too far in the weeds, is I'd really like to know your thoughts on Derrick Henry's last season. It played out, and if he's going to have another good season like last year. So that's really what I want to know. Now we got some of the work stuff out of the way. I really want to know that.
Oh man, you see my face light up right now. Well, Derrick Henry, the man of the year, is going to run for 4,000 yards this year. The Titans are going 16-0. Okay, maybe 15-1. No,
that's real.
Yeah, being realistic. Because they're going to rest their starters in week 17.
Yeah, of course.
No, the draft, as you know, I don't know how many of your viewers know, I'm a huge sports guy. And so the draft was great because, we have nothing. We had no sports. I was down in downtown Nashville with my, SEC tournament tickets when they canceled the remainder of the SEC tournament. It was very, very disappointing. The NCAA tournament got canceled. Baseball has been, maybe we'll start back in July, hopefully. But yeah, it was great viewing, and I watched the whole draft.
I know. I think I was getting texts about it as the night went on. It was fantastic. We were all excited. I think the New Orleans Saints shored up some weaknesses, and to see Joe Burrow go number one, LSU guy, I think it was just it was awesome. So it was a lot of fun. Now I do want to segue with this, that one of the things that I found coming from a sports background, right, and growing up playing sports, and so whenever I did get into behavioral health care, a lot of those skills translated. Right? Like a lot of the on-field stuff, a lot of the work ethic stuff translated. And so do you see that? I mean, I see there's individuals out there in our field that have brought skills over into it and translated. Like, have you seen that out there?
Oh, absolutely. You see a lot of these, well, probably not in the newspaper anymore these days, but you see these ads looking for sales reps, former athletes, and that's the mindset they want, is former athletes. You want someone who hates to lose, someone who will I don't want to say win at all costs. I don't want to say that as in an unethical type way, but someone who is going to push themselves to the limit to win. And so if that means that, especially from an outside sales perspective, if your quota is 20 face-to-face meetings a week, and 30 phone calls a week, well, I'm going to push for 30 face-to-face meetings a week and 50 phone calls because I want to be that top level performer. And that's it's funny. I moderated a business development panel with some business development giants in our industry a few weeks ago, and one of the things that the panelists talked about was that he wants someone who hates to lose. And that's the thing. You've got to hate to lose. I mean, that's a sports mindset for you right there.
Absolutely, because so many times, we don't work 9 to 5, right? We don't have normal hours, and so we get someone on the phone that needs help. Like I want somebody that's going to go to the ends of the earth and do backflips, trying to make sure that this person gets help, trying to make sure that on the company side of things, to make sure that we get the clients and the patients coming in that we need in order to provide good help, and that they're going to go above and beyond. And I see that in former athletes that come into this field. I also know that there's other people that maybe sold medical equipment sales. I think they do a great job in this field for sure. And just to tell people, we're focusing a little bit on the business side of things today because it's prevalent right now. We're seeing that there are a lot of people that are going through job changes and looking for work out there, and so that's why we wanted to focus on this a bit today right now. So kind of last little thing before we're gonna sign out, I wanted to ask you what if I'm trying to break in and to get into this world, how do I start? What are the good first steps? And you can rely on your experience, like how you got into it.
So my experience, the way that I got into it, this is a career of passion for me, and kind of going back to what you were talking about, you want someone who's going to go the extra mile to help someone get sober. I took a step back in my career to get my foot in the door in behavioral health care. I took a pay cut, but it's a career of passion. And a friend of mine was working admissions at Foundations. A friend of mine, Brandon Wharton, if you're watching, shout out Brandon Wharton. Thank you very much. But I took a step back to get involved in the industry, and I took an entry-level job. I was doing outbound referrals. I started off doing Medicaid clients. So I would work with people with Medicaid throughout the U.S. Well, I mean, that wasn't only, but that was a lot of what I did. So that was an arduous job because Medicaid is different by states. You have to know in Virginia, well, it can only be IOP, and in California, Medi-Cal is county-based, and in Wisconsin, it's Badger Care, and you have to know different rules for it. But for some people, they have to be prepared, maybe to take a little bit of a step back. For people, from a sales perspective, kind of going back to what we said before, it's not the greatest time for people from outside of the industry to get involved with it. People with those backgrounds, like you were talking about, medical device, they do well. Pharma backgrounds do well. People with staffing backgrounds, they do well, because these are people that have to be hunters. They have to be on the phone. They have to be prospecting. They have to be knocking on doors. So, try to get in with a recruiter. Try to get in touch with the internal recruiting department, the hiring department at an organization. Seek out the organization that you want, and make sure that you're knowledgeable on them, and you're also knowledgeable about what makes you an attractive candidate. Whenever you go into a phone call with a hiring manager, know everything about that facility. I remember when I got promoted to take over the conferences at Foundations, they came back and told me afterwards, you just blew us away at the interview because I researched the conference, I researched the topics, and there were 6 different tracks, and I had a list of 10 or 15 facilities for each different track. Said, okay, yeah, I'm going to go with this facility, all of these facilities because they fall in line with this process addiction track, and all these people because they have a PTSD track, and so do your homework. That impresses people.
Right on.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Thank you for the perspective. So if there's anybody out there in Kentucky,
I'm sorry, Glenn, you're
breaking up,
kind of cutting out on me.
Cool. What's the best way to contact you?
Oh, best way would be email, or you can find my LinkedIn. My email is my name, Jordan, Jordan, at Jordan, same spelling, and Associates, ASSOCIATES.net. Glenn, before we hop off here,
sure.
I know this wasn't in the notes of what you said you wanted to talk about, but can I congratulate you on your new position?
Absolutely.
I would love to get in on a show and talk about what an amazing position it is, and what a great hire, and what a great company, and it's just a perfect fit for an already great team. So I'm so excited about what you're going to be doing at Southworth Associates, and can't wait to support you in that role.
And I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to getting to expand and provide more services for people across the country and the world. I mean, Southworth and Associates does things globally, and so I'm really excited to be a part of that team, and really passionate about working with them to help others. And we've got some really cool projects in the works. I think that over the next few years, you're going to see some pretty amazing things coming out of that group. So just really pumped about that. Excited about moving to Boise. That's going to be a blast. And so, yeah, just enjoying. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I look forward to working together as we move forward in this endeavor, see how things work out.
Yeah. Hey, and one more shout out to you for, the work that you've done with alumni. Yeah, I don't know how much of your audience knows the work that you do with alumni, but Glenn recently did a presentation for a mini virtual conference that I was a part of, and just rocked the house. The 3-legged stool, his presentation on alumni engagement and how to engage alumni, to help improve outcomes and to increase admissions into your treatment center. It was an awesome presentation, and I see why you've done so well in helping treatment centers improve their alumni, and by doing that, improving their outcomes and increasing admissions. So great job, you. Kudos to you. I look forward to seeing you do more of that at Southworth.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. And I want to thank Jordan Young for being a guest on the show today. And so tune in next week. We're going to continue to have professionals, whether it's on the clinical side or the business side in our field in behavioral healthcare, on every week. And we're going to talk about the different viewpoints and some of the perspectives that may be mentioned may be different from yours, and that's fine. Like it's our job here, I think, to present all the different perspectives and allow people to kind of make the decisions that really fit who they are and where their business wants to go. So tune in for that. We'll be here every Wednesday at 1 Eastern time. And so really until next week, want to sign off. Thank you guys so much, Dreamscape Marketing and Southworth Associates, for being here and allowing us to be a part of this deal. And we will see you guys next Wednesday. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.